Hello everyone. This is Dr. Ron, and we are Boomer Life Lessons and Stories. We're here again to bring you a new episode. It's episode 49, and yes, we're creeping in on 50 episodes, and it seems like we only started yesterday. That's how time flies, we get so busy, time kind of just flows by and we don't realize it. And actually, that is going to be the topic today. The title of our episode is Coping and the Fine Art of Shedding. Now, before we get there and explain what we mean by all of that, if you could, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I believe, is the bell over here? Maybe it's over here. I'm not sure where it is, but wherever it is, if you could hit that bell and subscribe and help us reach more people. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and talk about coping and the fine art of shedding. Now, shedding is Shedding. It's kind of like the snake sheds its skin. That's kind of the idea here. I don't know about you, but I know that I love to engage with people. I engage with family, friends. I engage with hobbies. I engage with organizations, both for pleasure and also for professional development. And also, I engage with people at work, and I'm really, really busy with what I do for the university that I work for. But all that is really kind of as it should be. I think it's part of growing. It's been said, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but it is a quote. Not sure where the quote's from, but it's been said: if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So we're always striving to learn more so that we can do a little better going forward for our friends and, of course, for ourselves and our career and our family, especially our family. So when we look at it, we know that being involved with people is healthy and invigorating to a point. We love to engage people. I love talking about philosophical things, and one of my degrees is related to that. Um, I like to probe, the essence of what life is about. And I've been in philosophical clubs and discussions and things of that nature. I've been in chess clubs. I belong to professional organizations like the IEEE, and I do recommend that if you're in any type of technology. It has many types of branches. But along those lines, it takes time. It takes time away from other things that you could be doing, right? So we end up making these both formal and informal long-term commitments. And they may be long-term. They may be kind of long-term, several months, or they may be long-term for several years, or it could be just simply a very critical commitment or two that you've made over the next several weeks. It could be related to sports, the clubs that I've talked about, the professional organizations. It could be commitments to family, work, and social commitments, just like you're meeting with your friends every Wednesday at noon for coffee, right? But whatever these formal or informal commitments are, we do them because we think they're important. They're important to us, and perhaps they're important to the people that you do engage with. So the one thing that we don't realize, because it kind of creeps up on us, is that these commitments begin to stack up slowly. And we're certainly usually unaware of the increase in the demand upon our time. I mean, realistically, we only have 24 hours in a day, and we do need a good night's rest. Now, I'm probably one of those odd people. As long as I get 6 hours of sleep a day, I'm good. I'm up and at it. And I've had this rare thought that the more I'm able to apply and work at increasing the net well-being of my family, the more hours I can spend doing that, the better off my family's going to be, and of course my career. But other people need just different amounts of sleep. Now, of course, this discussion is not about sleep, but we subtract out, say, a good, healthy 8 hours of sleep. There's only 16 hours in a day that we're able to meet our commitments. right? So although we may derive benefit from all this engagement, all these commitments, it may become unhealthy and stressful simply due to the demands on our time and the managing. We've got too many, you've heard the saying, we've got too many balls in the air that we're juggling. And eventually the stress of the situation causes us to drop one of the balls, and it could be the wrong ball that we should be dropping, right? So the question is, what do you do, right? What do you do? I know, thinking about my past, as I said earlier, I do love engaging with people, and I have lots of activities that I'm involved in and commitments that I've made. And I even add to that bucket of things, these commitments, the ad hoc things that I do on the spur of the moment with friends, right? So you don't want to lose what's important to you. And that's really key here. Times change, people change. What was important last year may not be so important this year. What was important 5 years ago may not be so important today. What was important to you as a child or young adult certainly may not be as important to you today, because you have formal commitments as an adult. You know, as a child, we act as a child, but as an adult, we act as an adult, do the adult things. So what do you do? Well, I think you know where we're headed, right? You have to take inventory of all the things that you're committed to do, formally and informally. And then you need to think long and hard about them, because you have to filter them through that filter that tells you what is important to you, what you can't perhaps live without, so to speak, what you should be doing to increase the net well-being of your family, what you should be doing to ensure that you're leading a healthy and active life. And once you pass these things, these activities, these commitments through those filters, you prioritize them. You do that and stack them up, 1 through 10 or 1 through 20, however many things you have going on in your life. And then you begin to work from the bottom, right? You knowing what's important to you and your family and your career and the level of commitment you can make, you begin to do what snakes do. When snakes outgrow their skin, they shed it. You begin to shed the lower tiered activities based on what is less important to you, so that you can do what? Increase the time for those things that are important to you, such as family and your career and the things that you do to maintain your health, to the point that they're all manageable. And it's not just that you begin shedding from the bottom up. You might want to shed from the bottom up to the point that you're able to manage all your formal commitments and informal commitments you want to keep. But you have to do so such that it's less stressful, or there's little stress at all remaining. Now, in engineering, we do some things that are kind of interesting. When we design complex systems, we are designing them to requirements. And a requirement may say, as an example, easily understood, this device may weigh no more than 100 pounds. It has to weigh less than 100 pounds. So typically what we do is we don't design the device to weigh 100 pounds. We design it so that we have a reserve of 10%. So we may design it with the intent of it weighing no more than 90 pounds. So that is to ensure that if something should happen in the future before we release it to the customer, we still have a kind of a headroom to increase the weight. If you design it right to 100 pounds, you have no bandwidth and you're going to be not in compliance with the requirement. Now, I'm not trying to get all technical on you right now, but that's a good system engineering approach. System engineering can be applied to your practical life, your everyday life. And so when we begin to shed tasks and activities, we don't want to just shed the lower tiered activities to the point that we can barely manage everything else. We want to shed them sufficiently so that we have a reserve of spare time Should something pop up that we want to do or we need to do, or should some of the other things that we're committed to still do take more time? We have that headroom to accomplish whatever we need to accomplish. Because you have to remember, we do things in our lives for pretty much two reasons. One is, of course, what is necessary and sufficient to take care of the family, right? And of course, to promote your career. The other thing is because they're enjoyable. And if you're doing things that you no longer enjoy doing, then something must change, because we don't want to live a miserable life. We don't want to live a life that we're always struggling to meet our commitments because we've overcommitted our time. Of course, things happen when you overcommit your time. You get the reputation of not being dependable because you have to drop things on the spur of the moment. And then people become less confident in you, and they're less apt to involve you in their critical plans, whatever that may be. It might be social, it might be professional. So this fine art of shedding and coping is absolutely critical to you and your benefit and to your family. It has been something that I've developed over the years that I realize I'm so broad in my interest. I have to actively manage the broadness. Otherwise, I'll be overwhelmed by all the commitments that I've made. You see? So it's an active thing that we have to do. We have to actively cope by shedding. And if we do that, we're always going to be doing the things that are important to us, for our family, and for our careers, and also for our health, the things that are enjoyable. And with that, my friends, I hope this has been very beneficial to you. Remember, it's all about you and your career, and of course, especially your family. Take care, all the best, and please know you're always on my mind.